Special illustration rare Pokemon cards have become an afterthought in recent weeks. So today we are ranking the top 10 most expensive special illustration rare Pokemon cards from the entire Scarlet and Violet era. Cards that were once the cream of the crop have now been put to the back burner with the recent surge in price for illustration rares. Even with the recent shift in interest, these cards remain to be the best cards you can pull in this current block of Pokemon. Has Prismatic Evolutions completely taken over the entire top 10 most expensive cards? Are these prices heavily inflated due to the lack of product availability? I answer all of that and more in today's video, but first let's talk about Pokemon's newest set, Destined Rivals. This morning the rumored ETB promo was leaked and has the internet in a frenzy, with the likely Pokemon Center drop for this set coming next week. Let's just be honest here, you have 0% chance of getting a PC ETB or even a booster box from the Pokemon Center unless you know exactly when the product drops, and that's where the sponsor of today's video comes into play, PokeNotify. This exclusive Discord community alerts you when Pokemon restocks and drops occur by monitoring hundreds of sites 24/7 all across the globe. And today you can join the Discord for free for a 3-day trial and get 25% off of your first month by using the code FACTORY25 at checkout. Stop going in solo against the bots and the scalpers. Take advantage of this great tool and save you a ton of money and avoid the frustration. All links needed is in the description below. At number 10 we have the Vaporeon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions. The Vaporeon's coming in at $308.30. When it dropped, this is about a month ago or so, it was coming in at $600, so quite the drop. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $1,500 with no population count. The Vaporeon began its life cycle overpriced like most cards do, and then at release, it dropped $300 from its starting price. So most of these prismatic cards that we're gonna be looking at today have that type of price drop, and it's just pretty much because of all the drama leading up to the set. You could pretty much name your own price on any one of these cards. Now, as crazy as this all sounds, I do believe that this one is actually still overpriced, and to me, this card should be more in the $260 to $270 range. At number 9, we have the Glaceon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions, and the Glaceon's coming in at $321.93. When it first released, it was coming in at $500. At a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at around $1,000 with no population count. So the Glaceon actually started with a $180 price adjustment right off the bat, and now has found kind of a leveled price. Compared to the Evolving Skies Glaceon, this card is still overpriced and needs more adjusting. The Glaceon VMAX is $370 right now, which is pretty normal for a card of that pedigree with a set that's no longer in print and rarely being put out on big box store shelves. The Glaceon EX to me should be more around the $300 range for a more natural price point. At number 8, we have the Mew SIR from Paldean Fates, and the Bubble Mew's coming in at $355.52. 3 months ago, this bad boy was coming in at $280.33. A PSA 10 is coming in at $859 with a population count of 8,555. No, this card was underpriced from the beginning, and honestly, in my opinion, it never should have ever been under $100. Thankfully, the market corrected the price and pushed this thing up to $420, which was an overprice, and then the market said, no, that's too high, and then now this card is where it should be. This may be my favorite card from this era, and you know, if the prismatic craze ever slows down, this card should vault up even higher. Should be the number 2, number 3 most expensive card in the era, depending on what we get in the future. At number 7, we have the Greninja SIR from Twilight Masquerade. The Greninja's coming in at $394.21. 3 months ago, this thing was coming in at $328.64. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $797 with a population count of 4,915. A lot of people think that the thick Pikachu is the card that kick-started this era we are in right now, but in reality, it was actually this one. This one has also had the most healthiest and natural price movements of any card on this list. It fell at release like every card should, and then from its low of $125, it did nothing but go up and sideways since. $400, I think this thing is properly priced, but this one has not really seen a parabolic move like the others, and I would not be surprised if this thing jumps to $500 in the near future. At number 6, we had the Leafeon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions, and the Leafeon Leafeon is coming in at $397.26. At release, this thing was coming in at a crisp $750. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $1,000 with no population count. With a massive $350 price adjustment at the release, this card, just like others in Prismatic, is now pretty much trading sideways. This is my favorite evolution artwork from Prismatic, and with that being said, I think this is a direct reflection of the product just being hard to come by and should be more in between the range of the Vaporeon and the Glaceon. Like for example, the Evolving Skies edition of this card is at $450 right now, but it stayed in the $200 to $300 range for so long, which to me is where this card should be. It had more of a natural movement, to where this one is definitely being inflated. At number 5, we have the Flareon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions. The Flareon's coming in at $404.92. At release, this bad boy was coming out at $173. And a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $905 with no population count. So this is the rare instance where an evolution from Prismatic was actually undervalued at release. With the starting price of, around $175 to the $200, this card got eaten up at that price. And I think that's what led to this explosion. When a card like this from a set that's as desired in a raging bull market is not doing what its friends are doing, it is a buy now, unless we get an insane crash, like unbelievable crash. Like this card will probably not see sub $200 for a long time. Like most of the evolutions probably won't either. With that being said though, I still think that this card should be bunched up in the $260 to $310 range. $400 to me is an overshoot, almost like it's still in price discovery, and I think that this thing is probably gonna likely fall to around $350, $360 and kind of consolidate in that range. At number 4, we have the Espeon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions. The Espeon is coming in at $429.38. At release, this bad boy was coming in at $275.75, and a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at 1.1K and does not have a population count. I did not think that we would see one card underpriced from Prismatic, let alone two, but here we are. The Espeon wasn't as dramatic, but still has pretty much done the same thing that the Flareon has done. Right now, this card is almost $100 more than the Fusion Strike Espeon, which honestly, just looking at that card, is way undervalued in my opinion. Back to this one, I think that this one once again is overpriced, almost like a price discovery mode, and it looks like this one should kind of be pushed back down and consolidate just like the Flareon. At number 3, we have the Pikachu SIR from Surging Sparks, and the Pika is coming in at $450.58. 3 months ago, this bad boy was coming in at $480.76, and a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $922 with a population count of 3,363. If the Greninja started the craziness, this one sent it into another stratosphere. The Pika's chart right now, honestly to me, looks amazing. The Pika shot up with all the hype, and the price discovery phase was short-lived and has since really been in consolidation. We haven't seen a parabolic move from this card since release, so I honestly believe that this card is up for another big move to the upside, maybe even hitting its all-time highs again. After this surging reprint hits the market, we may get like a normal 10% market dip, but if it just stops at the 10% and doesn't drop even more, it could be a signal for a lot of the Pokemon deep state people to just buy into this thing and push it into another stratosphere. At number 2, we have the Sylveon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions, and the Sylveon is coming in at $456.52. At release, this bad boy was coming in at $750, and a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at 1.4K with no population count. This is another card from Prismatic with a 300 plus price adjustment at the release, but this one looks like it has kind of fallen and found some stable ground. Again, we have to compare it to the Evolving Skies one. It's just a natural thing to do, and it is overpriced compared to that one. It's like the same thing over and over again with these Prismatic products just being scarce, and the overall market conditions are a perfect storm for cards like this to be where it is. I actually don't think that this card will remain the second most expensive card in the era. Either something new will come along in the future sets that we're getting, or something like the Pika or the Greninja will actually surge and take this one's spot. At number 1, we have the Umbreon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions, and the Umbie is coming in at $1,556.35. At release, it was coming in at a crisp $1,700, and then a PSA 10 is coming in at 3.8 thousand with no population count. We all knew that this one was going to be number 1, and we all knew that this card is overpriced. But what's weird about this one one. Unlike its other counterparts, this thing, you know, it's not doing what the other evolutions did. They have kind of settled and trading sideways. This one is still having large price swings in either direction. This card in a normal market honestly should be like a $500 card. I don't know if this card will ever hit that price unless we have an absolute collapse of Prismatic and the market just completely flattens out and goes parabolic to the downside. That would be kind of sweet if you're a long-term, you know, collector, investor, you know, game player, whatever. If you're just in it for the flip, yeah, it's gonna suck for you, but for everybody else that's been in for a while, it's gonna be awesome if that happens. The big whales of this community, or whatever you want to call it, will allow this thing to drop under $500, because at $500, this thing would be such a buy that I think that the market would just get eaten up with these things, honestly. And then if this is $500, you gotta expect Prismatic is probably gonna drop dramatically as well. So then people are just gonna be buying up Prismatic. It would be a short-lived event, I think. And honestly, you're talking about a $1,000 drop, which, as far as I know, on a modern Pokemon card, we have never seen a $1,000 drop. Like, that would be unreal. You know, a lot of things would have to happen, which, you know, it's not impossible, I guess, but it's very unlikely. Even with a crash, like I said, of a $1,000 drop, would be absolutely unbelievable, and I just don't see it lasting long. So I think that this card, in a real market, like non, you know, bull market, just a normal $500 range, I could see this thing dropping down to 1,000, probably with no issue. But again, even at 1,000, man, if the PSA price 10 is coming in at 4,000, people will buy them up at 1,000 and just ship them to PSA. Even at that price point, you're still talking about a $2,500 profit on a PSA 10. So it's like, that's still unbelievable. I just don't see how this thing can move. Obviously, you know, a lot of outside factors always plays a part in these things. The market's gonna fall eventually. We don't know why, we don't know when. Eventually it'll happen. If this thing does drop to 1,000 or below, I just don't see it lasting long. That's gonna do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was an interesting watch. Remember, guys, check out PokeNotify. All the links will be down in the description below. Factory 25 at checkout gets you 25% off your first month and a 3-day free trial. Also, remember, guys, we have our normal DGen Discord where we just got all the DGens hanging out, and that's why I drop all the product for Poke Factory shop. That's why I drop it first. So if you want a chance of getting prices at a pretty decent point, you need to definitely join the Discord, because I drop it there first. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, we're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We've hit a little bit of a low spot, so we need to pump these numbers up, baby. These are rookie numbers. We need to do better here. So I appreciate all the love and support, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Poke Factory out. Peace.